Next fight, who is it?
It's going to be Makachev. I'm almost certain, which is good. I'm going to get back for Volk, and then don't know where at this point, but it will be this year.
Casey Kenny, once seen as a promising bantamweight contender, will serve 6 months behind bars after pleading guilty in a domestic violence case involving his ex-girlfriend. The 3-4-year-old's fall from grace comes just years after facing big names like Dominic Cruz inside the octagon. Also, Jon Jones is firing shots at Tom Aspinall, calling him a one-trick pony and hinting at a dream super fight with Alex Pereira, potentially even at the White House. For non-stop coverage, fight breakdowns, and breaking MMA updates, subscribe now to MMA Desk, and let's dive right in the video. The week started with big movie news that also felt like MMA news. After the success of the new Roadhouse movie with Conor McGregor, a sequel is now being made, and it will include even more real fighters. Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier are both in it, along with Tyron Woodley, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and Michael Venom Page. That is a lot of star power for one film. Filming will happen in the United Kingdom, Malta, and Georgia, which means the cast will be moving around to different countries and sets. No one knows the exact start date yet, and fans are wondering if this could delay any fights for the guys who are still active in the UFC. The most surprising part is Chandler and Poirier working together on the same set after their past issues. People remember their heated fight build-up and the harsh words that came with it. On set, though, the plan is to keep things professional and make a good movie. When you have stars like Jake Gyllenhaal and other big names involved, the last thing anyone wants is drama that hurts the project. So while fans might hope for fireworks between the fighters, it sounds like this is more about acting, teamwork, and putting on a show for the big screen. If this sequel lands well, we might see even more crossovers between MMA and Hollywood in the future. Michael Chandler talked about what it was actually like being around Dustin Poirier while filming, and his answer surprised people who expected trouble. On a show, Chandler said the interactions were not only polite, they were better than that. He explained that once you are filming in another country, it's like there is an international peace treaty. The idea is simple. They both respect the work, the crew, and the other actors, so personal beef gets left behind. Chandler said he and Dustin even talked about their old fight and the moments they did not agree on. It was intense. It was more like fighters sharing memories and learning from each other.
And you said you don't think he's going to be able to get it done. What makes you think that? How do you think it would play out?
I think Jack could hurt him to the body. I think Jack is a good puncher, good scrambler, and just his endurance, his ability to not stop moving throughout the fight and continue to move forward.
With other fighters on set, Tyron Woodley, Wonderboy Thompson, and MVP, there were a lot of friendly conversations. They were swapping stories, laughing, and acting like pros who know how to handle the spotlight. Chandler also wished Dustin well in retirement and sounded truly happy that Poirier joined the movie. He even named other actors in the cast, like Dave Bautista and Peter Sarsgaard, calling them awesome and skilled. The way Chandler told it, the set felt like a place where athletes and actors came together to make something exciting. No trash talk, no pushing and shoving, just focus and respect. For fans who only see fighters as rivals, this is a good reminder that they can be co-workers too, when the cameras start rolling and a job needs to get done. Jack Della Maddalena sat down with Israel Adesanya, and they talked about Jack's upcoming title defense at welterweight against Islam. Many people see Islam as mainly a grappler who takes people down and controls them.
On the feet, I think Jack wins it cleanly. I think he'll jab, switching stances. He'll have a bit more fluidity due to the fact that Islam's not going to be changing stances so regularly. So I think Jack can do it on the feet, but the question mark is, can he stop the takedown consistently over 5 rounds? Because Islam is world class.
But Israel said Islam's striking has gotten better over time, and even called it cleaner than Khabib's. That is a strong statement because Khabib is one of the most famous champions ever. Jack agreed that Islam has improved and pointed out that he has more tools now. He is not charging in like Khabib, he is more patient and picks his shots. They also talked about how moving up to welterweight could help Islam's body and conditioning. If you are not cutting as much weight, sometimes you feel better and stronger on fight night. Jack knows people think this is striker versus grappler, but he pushed back a little. He said Islam is one of the best overall MMA fighters, not just a wrestler. Still, Jack believes he has answers if the fight goes to the ground. He talked about tricks to stand back up and not get stuck. The whole conversation showed careful respect. Jack respects Islam's skill and smarts. Israel respects both fighters, but he wanted fans to look beyond the simple labels. This fight is not cage math or stereotypes.
If I'm looking at that fight, stylistically, I think if Islam gets to the ground, it's going to be an easy night. Islam's ground game is so good. I think JDM makes a lot of mistakes on the ground. With his scrambling, he's very good at it, but I think Islam doesn't let you scramble. So if you scramble, he'll good at locking in arm triangles, but you still got to get it to the ground first.
It is two complete athletes meeting in the middle, where timing, game plans, and small choices will matter most. Reiner Ditter opened up after his recent loss to Brennan Allen at UFC Vancouver, and he did not make excuses. He said he pushed himself too hard for too long in his training camp. Instead of listening to his body, he kept going harder every day. He felt slow and tired during and after sessions. He even admitted that in the Robert Whittaker camp before this, he was not feeling like himself in the last weeks. People around him told him to rest, but he had tunnel vision. He was focused on getting a title shot and believed winning in Vancouver would lock it in. That pressure made him ignore warning signs. He also said the weight cut was tough this time, although he is not sure how much that factor changed the fight. By round 4, his corner pulled the plug because Brennan Allen had worn him down and there wasn't a path back. After the loss, RDR tried to be honest with himself. He did a DEXA scan to look at his lean mass and said he is a bit heavy for a typical middleweight. Moving up to light heavyweight is an option for the future. But he also pointed out he has made the middleweight limit 5 times in 11 months, and 4 of those times he felt close to 100% after the cut. So he thinks there is still life for him at 185, even if that is not where he ends his career.
That's also Brennan. I know you spent some time with Courtroom because that's a massive loss for the mixed martial arts community.
The big lesson he shared is simple. You cannot outrun your body. Training is the path, but rest is part of the path too. Bilal Muhammad gave his take on Jack versus Islam, and his view came from real experience. He has trained with Islam and fought Jack, so he understands both skill sets up close. Bilal said the key is the ground. If Islam gets the takedown early and makes Jack work from the bottom, things will turn hard for Jack fast. Islam is calm on top. He does not rush, and he does not let people back to their feet for free. Bilal also said Jack sometimes gives up positions when he scrambles. In some fights, Jack will give his back or leave his neck open to escape. Against Islam, those are big mistakes. Islam will see them and lock in a finish, like an arm triangle or rear naked choke. Bilal made sure to say Jack is tough and skilled on the feet. Jack will not quit. But in his opinion, Islam's takedowns and top control are better than Jack's takedown defense and ground awareness. If Islam switches on the wrestling from the start, it could be a long night for Jack.
Right? It's going to be good to see how he is on the feet with JDM, who's kind of tricky, but I think if Islam gets to the ground, Islam will get his hand raised.
Bilal also talked about the move up in weight for Islam. Gaining size can help, but it can also change your gas tank. Still, he picked Islam to win and even predicted a finish if the fight spends enough time on the mat. It was a clear, simple breakdown. Don't give the grappler what he wants, because once he gets it, the chances to escape get smaller and smaller. Dan Hooker offered a different pick, and that made things more interesting for fans trying to guess the outcome. Dan actually fought Islam in the past and lost by submission, so he knows how dangerous Islam is. Even so, he leaned toward Jack Della Maddalena in this fight, and he explained why. Dan believes size and frame will matter as the rounds go on. Jack is the bigger man at welterweight, and he knows how to make opponents carry his weight in the clinch and in close boxing exchanges. If Jack can force Islam to work hard every minute, the later rounds might favor Jack's pressure, timing, and body shots. Dan also praised Islam's defense and fight IQ. He said Islam is very hard to hit clean on the feet and is very conservative on the ground, which means he doesn't make many risky moves. But Dan thinks Jack is the best striker at welterweight right now. If Jack keeps the fight standing, manages distance, and stuffs enough takedowns to keep Islam honest, he can land the kind of shots that judges notice. The way Dan told it, this fight is like a rope pull between two styles. Islam's control versus Jack's output and sharp punching. It comes down to who sets the terms early and who can keep them in place. Dan's pick gives fans another angle to think about. What if the bigger striker turns the tide after the first 10 minutes? Renato Moicano jumped into the conversation around alleged fight fixing, and he did not mince words about what he saw. He said that when he watched Isaac Dolgaren fight, things looked wrong from the very start. Moicano pointed to a double-leg takedown attempt that had all the right parts. Hands locked, head in the correct place, great timing. Yet, instead of driving through and finishing, the grip was let go in a strange way. To him, that did not look like a simple mistake. He also focused on the rear naked choke defense that followed. In his view, the defending fighter did almost everything the opposite of what you are taught in the gym. The hands were not fighting the choke in the right order, the chin and shoulders were not used to create space, and the body language looked off. Moicano said it felt like the fighter was trying to sell the difficulty, like in pro wrestling, letting it last long enough to look real without doing the proper escapes. He even mentioned the expression on the fighter's face after the tap, like a tired sigh, which added to his suspicion. Not everyone will agree, and accusations like this are serious. But Moicano's point was that experienced fighters can feel when something is wrong. They know what honest struggle looks like, and they know what panic looks like. When the movements break patterns and the choices stop making sense, that is when questions start. The sport depends on trust, so even a small doubt is a big deal. Leon Edwards shared a clear plan for the next steps in his career, and it starts with a big fight at UFC 322. He said he is happy to be facing a striker again, someone who will give him a chance to be more free and creative on the feet. He talked about how the division is open right now, with important cards running back-to-back and chances for fighters to grab the spotlight. Leon wants to beat Carlos Pros at Madison Square Garden, a place he called special for any athlete. He said when you are older, it is cool to look back and say you fought at MSG. If he wins, he wants Ian Gary next. That fight would be huge because Ian is a rising name with real momentum. Leon believes a win over Ian would put him right back in line for a title shot by summer, and he even mentioned a timeline of another fight in March or April to stay active. He said time off helped him reset, and now he feels focused and ready to show the best version of himself. The message was straightforward. Beat the man in front of you, call your next shot, then aim for the belt. Leon's confidence is not about shouting or trash talk. It sounds like a veteran who understands timing, matchups, and how to manage a path back to the top. Jon Jones also made headlines by giving his blunt view of Tom Aspinall and by calling for a huge fight with Alex Pereira. About Aspinall, Jon said Tom is a great athlete but called him a one-trick pony, saying his wrestling and jiu-jitsu are overrated. He pointed to Tom's fight with Cyril Gane and said Gane looked comfortable, with his hands low and movement flowing, like he was just getting started. Jon argued that Tom's best tools were simple and that he did not show enough variety to threaten elite opponents for long. Whether fans agree or not, Jon's comments stirred debate because Aspinall is a popular heavyweight with fast hands and big finishes. Then Jon talked about Alex Pereira. He said he wants to fight Alex at the White House, which is a bold and unusual idea. Jon praised Alex as respectful, famous, and already in the talks for all-time greatness. He said a Jones versus Pereira event would be massive for the sport, drawing attention from all over the world, and that no one would lose from such a matchup because it would bring in huge interest and money. Jon mentioned he has beaten many Brazilians before, and he sees this fight as a respectful clash between two high-level champions. It is a rare mix, criticism to spark the fire, and respect to sell the dream. If that super fight ever happens, fans will remember where they first heard Jon plant the seed. The most serious story was about former UFC fighter Casey Kenny, who was sentenced to 6 months in county jail after pleading guilty to a reduced charge in a domestic violence case involving his ex-girlfriend. The case started from an incident in July 2024. At first, he faced multiple charges, including kidnapping, several assault charges, and disorderly conduct. With the plea deal, he now must serve 180 days starting October 30th, complete a domestic violence offender treatment program and a substance abuse program, stay on probation for 3 years, stay away from the victim, and pay fines and fees. There was also a separate drug paraphernalia case. He pled down in that one too and is now on supervised probation for 2 years, has to do 100 hours of community service, and complete substance abuse treatment. His last UFC fight was a split decision loss to Sonia Dong in 2021, and before that he lost a split decision to Dominic Cruz, which was close to when he was released by the promotion. For fans, this is a reminder that real life continues after the cage. Actions have consequences, and the court sentence is part of that. It is not a happy story, but it is important. It shows that even public figures are still responsible under the law, and it asks fans to separate excitement for fights from the serious nature of personal conduct outside the octagon. Through it all, MMA continues to grow, bringing together fighters, fans, and even Hollywood. Every week brings new twists, fresh rivalries, and unforgettable moments. If you love staying up to date with all the stories that shape the fight world, from breaking news to behind-the-scenes updates, subscribe now to MMA Desk and never miss the next big headline.